All right, what's going on, boys? Today I'm going to break down the exact ad strategy that I used to start and scale this brand to about $4,000 a day in revenue over the last week. And I know a lot of people talk about revenue numbers, but I want to be transparent, also show you the actual net profit, the take home. So you can see yesterday we did right under, I'm actually a little mad because we were one sale away from 4,000 in rev, but right under 20% margins for the day. The day before that, we were also sitting right around 22% profit margins, so $800 in profit. The day before that, I think, yes, the day before that was a little bit of a lower day. Yeah, so I made a tweak in the campaign that completely tanked performance. So I kind of learned my lesson and was able to get it back up. And the day before that, 20%. So what are we for the last few days? We are up $2,200 in profit, sitting around 20% margins. Should be higher, but I made a mistake on one of those days, doing something I shouldn't have done. So let me break down exactly how to start, launch, and scale ads for your dropshipping brand profitably. I'm also going to even break down one of the stores and the ad scripts that I use as well at the end so you can see what it's like to launch these ads. I no longer rip ads directly from Calidata or TikTok. I know a lot of people do that and it still can work, but I just have found so much more success creating my own ads. So at the end, I'll break down a little bit of what that looks like. So before we get into that, it's very important to understand this concept of vertical or horizontal scale. So what I'm talking about is when we talk about vertical scale, that basically means you can launch a campaign and that campaign could do well for you, could be profitable. And by nature, people tend to want to increase the budget on that campaign. And it makes sense, right? If you have a campaign that's profitable, why not keep spending more money so that campaign can keep being profitable? So this is the concept of vertical scale, right? You just keep increasing the budget on this one campaign. There's also another version of scaling, which is called horizontal scale. This is where you launch a campaign, you wait a couple days, maybe the campaign's profitable for you. And instead of increasing the budget, right? So instead of saying, hey, this one campaign with vertical scale, we're going to go from $100 a day to $200 a day. Instead of doing that and putting all $200 into one campaign, horizontal scale just means I have two campaigns at $100 a day. Okay. So those are the differences between those terms. So you're going to hear me talk about vertical versus horizontal scale a lot. It's important to understand which one I'm talking about. So this is important because if you watch videos on how to launch ads, most people teach you how to do one or the other. I've learned a strategy where I do both vertical and horizontal scale. And this is important because it helps fight against ad volatility, right? So when you're scaling one campaign and putting all your eggs in one basket with vertical scaling, this is more likely to break a lot faster. And you'll have days, and this happened to me a lot in the beginning, where I'll have days where I'm doing, a start a brand on Monday, and by Wednesday, it's doing $1,000 a day. But by Saturday, it's already down in the dumps and it's already at $200 and I'm unprofitable, right? So there's more ad volatility when you do vertical. And the same kind of volatility happens with horizontal, but in a different way, where because you're splitting your budget so thin, right? Every time you want to scale, you have to keep adding new budgets in. This is going to make it really hard for these campaigns to become more profitable and optimized because you're not giving more spend to these ad campaigns. So I haven't really seen too many people talk about this, but I've found a way to kind of predictably scale without breaking your campaigns, without losing as much money, and being as profitable as possible, holding around 20% margins and even more. And it's kind of just doing a bit of both, where you're doing a little bit of vertical scaling and a little bit of horizontal scaling. So here's exactly how I do that. So I think of launching ad campaigns like building a house. Most people, when it comes to building a house, the smart and logical thing to do is to build a foundation first, right? You're gonna build up some bricks here, and I'm a horrible drawer, but just bear with me here. Most people, when constructing a house, they have to build a foundation first, and that's what we're gonna do with our campaigns. What I like to do is start a campaign, and I'm gonna go in the ads manager, show you exactly how to do all this. But I like to start my first campaign at $100 a day. And I run every single campaign the same. I do a CBO campaign, which means campaign budget optimization, meaning we're going to set the budget at the campaign level. I'll run one ad set. Okay. And depending if it's a picture or video campaign, I'm going to add a certain amount of creatives, and I'll explain when you would want to do this. So most times I like to start every campaign with video ads because they're going to be the best to really quickly understand what hooks work really well. Picture ads, there's normally more steps involved. So for most people, especially beginners, I recommend you run video ads straight into a product page. So what I normally do is I have one ad set. It 99.9% of the time is a US open audience, meaning I do not touch anything. I just make sure it's in the US. I do not touch placements, age, gender, any of that. I literally leave it up to Meta to decide for me because their algorithm is way smarter than me. Even if it's like this product is for women specifically, like it's a bra or something, I still don't change the gender. I've actually sold women specific products like the one I'm going to share with you in a moment. And I literally have had multiple men purchase that product. It could be that the account was for a man, but maybe their wife or partner was using it, or maybe that man wanted to give their partner a gift. So I literally never, ever touch anything. I don't care if the product literally is designed for a specific audience. I'm not going to touch it ever. So because we're running video ads, I only put 5 creatives or 5 ads, right? Creative is another way of saying ads, in the ad set. I don't really like to touch too much because at $100 a day, we want to quickly get data on which ad is going to perform the best. And what Facebook will do most times is that they're going to spend most of the budget on one of these 5 ads. Okay. And this normally takes about 2 to 3 days. I would let this campaign run for 2 to 3 days. And whatever the price of your product is, let's say you're selling a product for $40 or $39.99. I want to make sure that Meta can spend at least 2 to 3 times that amount on that particular ad. And that's when I'll identify if the ad is profitable or not. We should actually take a break to also understand what break even is, right? So what our break even ROAS is. So your BE ROAS, your break-even ROAS, is the return on ad spend that you're willing and capable of spending before you start losing money. I always recommend 1.5 or lower. Facebook is really expensive, especially going into this time of the year. So if you're not able to source your product and be able to price it for 1.5 break-even ROAS or lower, good luck scaling. So what does that mean and how do we address this? Well, one of my favorite tools to use is you can literally do this all in it with any kind of website, but I just like to go and type in break-even ROAS calculator. And I like to use this one from Viral Ecom Ads because it's really simple. But I'll take the cost of good that I'm getting from the supplier and the price to ship it to my customer. And then I'll put that into this formula here. So let's say I'm selling a skincare brand product for $39.99. Ideally, I need to, let's say $12, right? I need to be able to pay for that product and ship it to my customer from my supplier for right around $13 for it to be, it makes sense to scale on Facebook ads. Okay. And then assuming, this is the amount of money you can spend on an ad to acquire a sale before you start losing money. Anything more than this, you're losing money. Okay, for this specific equation. So always make sure before you get into running ads, you understand what your break-even ROAS is, because if you're just out there spending money, you don't really know what you're doing, you're going to be losing money. Also, the tool in the beginning that I showed you with the profit is called True Profit. You can use it. It's like an app you can install on your Shopify dashboard, and it integrates with your ad account and your Shopify store, and it allows you to plug in the cost of your goods. So it's easily tracks out your profit for you if you want to do that instead. But still, you should know your break-even ROAS. Now, let's say I was selling this skincare item and it was, $19, but it only made sense to sell it around 40, right? Because you got to understand market value, right? Customers aren't going to spend, $50 or $50 on, a pair of wired headphones. You get what I'm saying? So you got to understand the market value, market perception. What are people okay with spending on the product that you're looking to drop ship, and make sure you can get a good price on that. That's why suppliers are really great. Most of my products, I'm getting it, my break-even ROAS, I operate with like a 1.3 break-even ROAS. Products I'm scaling with, 1.3. I recommend 1.5 or lower, obviously, but like 1.5 sometimes is even pushing it. So anyway, now back to the actual campaign. I'm going to let these ads run. So I need to make sure that after about, 2 or 3 days of spending, I look at the data every single day. So on day 1 of running ads, especially on a new ad account for a new pixel on a new product, you're not going to get any sales, right? Now, if you do get a sale, it probably will be unprofitable. If you get multiple sales and you're profitable, on day one, great. We don't want to make any hash decisions right away. We want to let day 2 go by and see how that data point is looking. Now, something as well that's very important, and that's why there's so much nuance. If I were to sit here and break down all the different nuances to Facebook, this would be an hour video. Maybe one day I'll do that for you. But there's some things that I'd like to look at, right? You might not get sales, but are you getting add to carts? Are your ad metrics good, right? For video ads, these are the metrics that are super, super important to ensuring that you do not turn off the campaign too soon. Because just because you're not getting sales doesn't mean, the campaign sucks. CTR, right? Your click-through rate, we like 2% or higher. CPC, cost per click, right? And these are metrics you should be seeing in your dashboard. I like, no more than $1.50, depending on the product and your industry. This can be a little higher, and that's okay. But more times than not, you don't want to be spending more than $2 on a click. That's actually kind of insane. CPMs, no more than $40. Some people would argue no more than 30. I think you can get away with $40 CPMs if it's a high spending audience with people that have money that are willing to spend a lot of money on your product. But anyway, if these metrics are good on day 1 and you don't get a sale, that's fine, right? But what will end up happening is day 2, the campaign might need a little bit more time to optimize, and day 3 still might need more time. As long as these metrics look good and you're getting a lot of add to carts, I wouldn't turn anything off. But if that's not happening, then you would have to do some stuff. But anyway, I'm just going to talk about assuming everything is going well, this is how I personally would scale. So what will happen is one ad will get most of the budget. Another ad will get a bit out of the budget as well. And these other 3 will get next to nothing over the next, 2-3 days of you testing this. What I'll do is whatever is the winner, instead of increasing the budget, I'm just going to launch a new campaign. All right, campaign 2, and do the exact same thing. Create an ad set. Make it the exact thing. One ad set, US targeting. Then we're just going to create 5 new ads. These new ads should align and be very similar to the winner. Right? This was the winner. It should be very similar to that exact same ad. And what I'm trying to do is I personally like to have 3 campaigns all at $100 a day. And all of these should be doing really good for me at a certain ROAS. Now, your ROAS, the ROAS that I like to fall behind before I start vertically scaling this, should be about 1 higher than my break-even ROAS. For example, if my break-even ROAS is a 1.4, I need to make sure that these campaigns at the end of each day are sitting somewhere between a 2.4 or higher ROAS, meaning I'm making good money. It's 2.4 is the ROAS. I'm profitable. And this is important because as I start to scale, my ROAS will start to dip. That's just the nature of running ads. As you spend more money, whatever your highest ROAS is, sometimes as you start to spend more money, your ROAS will get a little better, but eventually it will hit a curve, right? So this is how it ends up looking, right? You start off here, and maybe your ROAS is like a 2. You get up here, because you're spending more money, the campaign is getting smarter. It gets to 3. But as you start to spend more money, the diminishing returns start to happen. So now it comes back down, and maybe, you're down here again at a 2. And then now you're hovering around like a 1.9-ish. Maybe this is like a 2.5, actually. Say this is 2.5, right? So that's how it is. No matter what you do, no matter how good your ads are, that's kind of the nature of the game, is that your ads will start to diminish as far as the ROAS. That doesn't mean the campaign, you got to turn the campaign or it's broken, because you're spending so much money anyway. A 1.9 break-even ROAS means you're still profitable and still taking home a good amount of money. Okay, so that's kind of how I would do this, right? I would literally launch this and then do the same thing again. You're going to get a certain creative that performs really well with campaign 2. And then what I would just do here is launch another campaign and do the exact same thing. US targeting, or wherever country or region that you're looking to target. Now, what would eventually happen is, right, this is what it should look like. Say this is campaign 1, it's campaign 2, campaign 3. You should honestly, this should take about a week, right? Because what you're going to do is you're not going to obviously launch all these campaigns at the same time. That'd be stupid. You're going to launch one campaign. Each ad should have its own different angle. Whatever angle does the best for you, you create campaign 2 and make sure all 5 of those ads replicate that same angle. Maybe different hooks, different, different video styles. And then campaign 3 should double down even more and really try to identify what's making the videos do well. Is it the same hook, right? Maybe I'll use a really strong hook or better hook. And basically, you should have After about 6 to 7 days, 3 campaigns, all doing about 2.5, maybe even 3x return on ad spend pretty much every single day at $100 a day each. And this is where we start to actually scale. Okay. These are the days of the week after the first week of, setting all this stuff up, right? Campaign number 1 should be the most seasoned campaign because it's been running the longest. And this is what I'll start to do, right? So on day, this is week 2, day 1. These are all at $100 a day, right? Then I will start my vertical scale. So now what I'll do is I'll bump this to 150. Right? It's been a week. It's been hovering right around, some days it's going to be a little lower than others, but it's a weekly average says that this campaign is about a 2.5 to 3x ROAS on average. Boom. These still are going to stay at $100 a day though. All right. These still are going to stay at $100 a day. I'm going to wait and I'm going to bump this up. By the way, the time of the day when you increase your campaigns also matter. I will always increase my campaigns at the end of the night, right around like 10, 11 p.m. Because I want to make sure I don't interrupt the campaign throughout the day. That would really throw it off. So you might have to stay up pretty late at night to make sure you set that increase that budget so you don't disrupt the campaign. Now, at this point, after a week of running this, your campaign is going to be really seasoned, so it won't really break as easy. But in the beginning, this matters a lot. So after day 2, I got to see, okay, I bumped it to 150. Did this break? Did campaign break? Did it get better? Did it optimize? Normally, the day after increasing a budget or changing anything to a campaign, 9 times out of 10, it might act a little wonky. You might break even. You might even lose a little bit of money. That's fine. Wait until day 2. Right? On day 2, did it bounce back? Normally it will bounce back. Meta's a little slow at times, but it will bounce back if this is a good campaign with a good product, with a good, website and all that stuff, assuming all that is all taken care of. If that is the case and it bounced back and you're doing like a 2.5, remember your break-even ROAS is 1.4, right? Like, let's just use that example. You should, before looking to increase this budget or do anything else, you should always make sure that you're hovering right around, twice or 1x that, right? So if it's right around here, great. If your break even is a 1.4 and you're only have gotten up to 2, I would not touch that. I would not mess with that. I'd keep letting that go until it can prove to me that it can get there. If not, you probably should not keep increasing this campaign. I would honestly leave it at $150 a day and let it hover around 2x ROAS. Because as you keep increasing, like I keep saying, as you keep increasing, your ROAS will eventually start to drop. Maybe the first couple of days of increasing, it will, hover and stay right around, which is something you can test. But more times than not, as you start to get to like $500, $600 a day on one campaign, it will start to drop a little bit. So that will hurt your profit. But if you're willing to test that, that's totally okay. But assuming this is hovering right around your target ROAS, which is 1x the amount of your break even, then I would increase the budget again to 200 the next day. And then I would increase this budget as well for campaign number 2. Keep in mind, this entire time, campaign number 2 and 3 have been getting seasoned, right? They're spending $100 a day. You're not touching them. They should be profitable day after day. So you should really start to get locked into their target audience. This is a week after the first week of testing and getting these campaigns solidified. So by week 2 now, these guys are really ripping, and they're doing, they should be profitable for you. And basically, that's what I would keep doing, right? So now on day 5, or day 4, I increased the budget here. This should still be hovering over the same target ROAS. And now we're going to run the same test with this. And then we're going to keep rinsing and repeating. And then we're just going to keep doubling, like every day after day 4 with this first campaign. If it's profitable and hitting your target ROAS, we're just going to start doubling budgets now. And this is how you aggressively scale, and you do it in a safe manner. But as far as campaign 2, we're going to follow the same rules as the first campaign. We're going to wait at least 2 days of consistent profits before we start to double budgets. And then once these 2 campaigns are in that point where they're good, then I'll do the same thing with campaign number 3. And that's it. And we double up to about $1,000 a day. And then after $1,000 a day on one campaign, you no longer start doubling budgets. That's how you're going to really break stuff. Once your campaign's at $1,000 a day, what should be happening is you do 20% you should be doing 20 to 30% budget increases every like, I would say like every like 2 to 3 days. You're not going to keep doubling now because you're going to break this easily. So you're going to increase the budget 20%. Obviously, if it's 1,000, you're going to increase that 20%, right? So $200 every 2 to 3 days, and making sure it holds over your break-even ROAS. Now, at $1,000 a day, if you have a good break-even ROAS of 1.4, if you originally were getting this campaign at a 2.5 or higher, but it drops all the way down to 1.9, honestly, that's fine. That's still profitable. You still can make money with, like, you're still making money at an actual high margin. So you don't even worry about like turning this off or anything like that. You're still good. Now, if your break even is a 1.4 and you're averaging like a 1.6, that's where it's at. One or two returns can make this campaign unprofitable. That's where I would stop. And obviously, once it gets to 1.4 or lower, then obviously turn it off. And then you just keep rinse and repeating the cycle. Now, when do you start adding new creatives? First, I never add new creatives to an existing ad set or a campaign because Facebook's going to allocate the budget to the winning ad anyway. So your new creatives are never going to get tested. So I always launch new campaigns every single time. How often do I launch this? I launch depending on, again, like if this is the same strategy I would do with picture ads, by the way, too. But instead of 5 videos, I would do 10 creatives. That's the only difference, by the way, with picture ads versus video ads. And the KPIs are a little bit different too, but it doesn't really matter too much. As long as you're profitable, that's same strategy applies. So what I would do here is I launch new video ads every like 3 to 5 days. So I'm launching a new campaign every 3 to 5 days. So basically twice a week. New ads twice a week, and at just about five ads each time. So about 10 new ads every single week. Now, this is important, right? This next part is very, very important to this entire process. What type of creatives am I adding? Well, because I'm adding 2 campaigns every single week, one campaign is going to keep doubling down on my winning angle. So let's say I was selling skincare specifically for women that smoke cigarettes, right? The skincare product can help, it's an anti-aging, anti-wrinkle skincare solution. I'm specific. After in the first week of testing, I found that women that smoke align with this the best. So I'm going to keep doubling down on that. But I'm also going to start testing like a small percentage of my entire budget. Let's say I could spend $10,000 a week on ads. I might take a like 20% of that budget and each week try testing new angles. 9 times out of 10, it just makes more sense to keep doubling down on the existing winning angle that's done really well for you. And you literally don't need to do anything else like from that. Like you don't need to keep deviating every single week. Like, all right, now I got to test this new angle. No, like you really realistically should be spending 80% of your budget on the winning angles and just find new ways to talk to that same target audience. But 20% of your budget every single week should be trying a new angle. So if it's an wrinkle skincare solution and I've really been spending most of my budget towards women that smoke, maybe I'll try women with scarring or women that I don't know, work high intense jobs or nurses or something. This is where you got to use some AI to help you kind of come up with some concepts and ideas. I'm actually going to show you how to do that in just a moment here. So yeah, that's literally what I would do. And then eventually you should find like maybe 1 or 2 angles or 2 or 3 angles that you can kind of test simultaneously with your winning angle. More times than not, your winning angle will be your winning angle, and any new angles won't compete and do as well, but that's fine. As long as you have a brick house, right? That's the biggest thing. You want that brick house, multiple campaigns running at the same time, and you're scaling it smartly. Now, what happens during this process if you start scaling campaign and it breaks and it starts becoming unprofitable? You can always set it back to the campaign daily spend that it was when it was profitable and let it cruise there. And if it's cruised there and it's not breaking when you set it back, let's say I scale campaign $300 to $500 a day and it starts becoming unprofitable, but it was profitable at $250 a day, I'll just bump it back to $250 late at night and then let it just cruise there. And it's okay to have some campaigns, multiple campaigns at a couple $100 a day. You don't need every campaign to be spending $1,000 a day if that's not profitable for you. Right. So there you go. That's kind of the ad sauce there. And I don't really see much people talking about this. So let me actually break down a little bit about this scripting and stuff like that. So you guys understand like why, this campaign strategy works really well. But if your ads suck, then that's not really going to do really much for you. By the way, I figure it's worth mentioning. I just launched my online community called Social Brands Club, where I plan on giving you guys a ton of free sauce and information, including one of the strategies that I've recently been testing that's been working really well. AI image ads and avatorials. It's actually really, really cool to see how basic picture ads can really, really break through the common norms of advertising and produce some really dope results, assuming you have a good product. So I plan on doing some cool stuff with this community, multiple calls a week, obviously a great course, and I want to teach and show you guys all the stuff that I've been learning. You can actually see my journey unfold over the last year, really 6 or 7 months actually. Started dropshipping back in February and did not know what I was doing. And fast forward to now September, it's been one hell of a journey. So I'll leave this in the description here if you guys want to join. I'm just now launching the community, so there's a lot of things I'm going to be tweaking and adding in. But the first few people that come in, I'll personally hop on a one-on-one call with you and share some sauce and help you scale your brand as well. So script writing is obviously very important here. One of the biggest advice that I recommend is obviously creating your own scripts, but realistically looking at different angles that are working in the same industry for you. So for example, I came across this color foundation changing stick where basically women can apply this foundation stick and it changes to match their shade, whatever. This is a product I ran up and did some really good numbers with it. The problem though is that like I was getting so many like chargebacks and people complaining because skincare is one of the biggest wastes of time products you can drop ship, by the way. So stay away from makeup if you can. But the cool thing about this product and why it did so well is because I found winning angles in the makeup industry that were working for similar products, and I literally just pasted into Claude AI and have it rewrite it for my brand. So when it comes to script writing, guys, I know a lot of people just quite literally download videos that have already proven to work on TikTok and bring them over to Facebook. But there is like a lot of benefit into just using the same skills that you're using to just copy that, but actually like take it a step further and rewrite it and personalize it for your product and brand. So a lot of times what I do is I train the AI, and I give it like an Amazon listing and some reviews and all that stuff. And I basically tell it like go through and study and learn my product and use the reviews, right? That's my biggest advice to you. Use the reviews to write your AI scripts, because that can be the difference between a customer like understanding and saying, okay, they spoke exactly to me and wanting to buy, versus one that's like, this is just another Facebook ad. So that's basically what I did. And it's really cool because it'll spit out a whole bunch of different scripts and also angles that I didn't even think I wouldn't have thought of, because the AI pulled the reviews and realized for this particular product, one of the biggest angles that worked really well was that time saving element, where a lot of women just spend so much time on their makeup, they want something that's quick and easy. And that's the angle that I took, right? Most people take the, reduce fine lines or make yourself look more beautiful. But the angle that worked really well was this one, like saving time. So pretty really cool stuff. I've spent this could be a whole nother video if you want me to really, really get down into some AI scripting and break that down for you. But as far as like, I know a lot of people reach out and say, hey, Alex, what do you do for your scripts? Or what do you do for your ads? This is basically it. And then what I'll do here, and I'll show you actually one of the ads. What I'll do is I'll either hire an editor to do it for me, or I'll just do it myself, where it's just like voiceover, text on screen voiceover with some B-roll going through. So here's an example of one of those ads right now.
There's a reason Korean beauty is taking over, and this product proves it. Western brands have us choosing between 40 shades, hoping one works. Korea said, what if we just made it adapt to you instead? The Dafware color-changing foundation stick uses microencapsulation technology. Color capsules break when they hit your specific skin chemistry. Watch the transformation. It's not magic, it's science. Plus, it has 20,000 ppm of volufiline, the anti-aging ingredient that costs hundreds in serums. This is why I trust Korean innovation for my skin. Click the link below to try the Dafware color change.
And it like, to me, like this ad, and I've since then made better ads, but like it's less about the ad and more about the messaging in the ad. Because I look at this, I'm like, there's no way someone's gonna buy it. But like you'd be surprised how much money I made from this ad. So it's like it's angles and messaging matters a lot. Obviously, the landing page and the offer also matters. That could be another video as well. But like that's kind of the foundation of what I do. And I know a lot of people are like, were like me from a few months ago, where every time you try to scale a store, the ads just break for whatever reason. So that's kind of my advice to you guys. Hopefully you guys gain some value from this. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. Click the link down in the description. Join the Social Brands Club. I'm looking to blow this up and make it an amazing community. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Take care.